As all of you now know, exactly a week ago, Charlie Kirk was unfortunately assassinated in Utah, and yeah, it was a great tragedy. But now, a week later, it's been deeply looked into. So now we have the information we need to actually look into it. So yeah, it was in Orlum, Utah, at um, UVU University. Um, uh, yeah, and Charlie Kirk was obviously an outside event, like they always are, debating, people. It was actually only 20 minutes into the whole event that, a shot was fired from about 200 yards away from a rooftop where, the shooter was. And so yeah, Charlie Kirk was asked a question, and um, he answered it, put his mic down, and as soon as he dropped his mic, he got shot right in the neck, right in the jugular. They hit him, and it hit the back of his spine too. Because if you watch the video, you could see his arms go up to his chest, which meant he was paralyzed right away, which is good because probably meant he died instantly. They said that he died, like they brought him to the hospital. He died shortly after that or whatever, but most likely he died right then and there. It was a clean shot. It was a very professional, skilled shot. Even though it was from a 22-year-old, this guy clearly had experience. But yeah, they acquired his text messages or whatever to a roommate who they found out that he was gay, and that's his boyfriend he was talking to. But it's just a little weird that the conversations they had between him and the roommate, obviously he's talking about the event, then he admits that it was him. He says that that they thought it was some crazy old white dude, who was who tried to frame himself for it to, I guess, get him off the case, but that didn't work, obviously. He says that he leaves his rifle there, which it just all seems a little weird because he's narrating the story as if he's trying to get us to like to answer all our questions and to get off the hook or whatever. He's like, you have a question for this, and then he puts it in there so that way that's that. Yeah, you see the he said, oh, the rifle was wrapped in a black towel, whatever. He writes what he wrote on it, like the bullet engravings. He says, why do you do it? He said, I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can be negotiated out, but I guess I don't know. It said that this guy, Tyler Robinson, who had become recently involved in politics, and at a family dinner, they said that he he said he expressed his disliking towards Charlie Kirk for disagreeing with his views and obviously stuff like that, but they said in the past few months that he had become involved in politics and grew a major disliking towards Charlie Kirk, and he said he planned it about a week before he shot Charlie Kirk. So they found his Discord messages and his actual text messages. He went to court today to get his sentencing, and I didn't see that yet, so I'm going to probably today or tomorrow. But yeah, it's another thing is, it's just sad what this country has come to because, Charlie Kirk wasn't a senator, wasn't a congressman, wasn't a president, wasn't even a politician. He was simply just a guy with an opinion, and another guy with the opposite opinion didn't, just because they didn't agree or whatever, he decided to shoot him. It just doesn't make sense. Charlie Kirk wasn't the guy who, like, sure, he had the completely opposite views with you, but he wasn't the guy, setting laws into action and writing the executive orders and doing all the stuff that actually affects the country. He was just spreading his message about his political views and his faith and trying to help, um, younger students, at all of his college campuses. But it's just a shame because, he was a very strong voice in the conservative party and the right wing side. But it's just a shame that, like, I guess high profile debaters or, people involved in the same area that he was in, that, you can't even have an opinion anymore because you'll get shot by some crazy person. But, it's just a shame. It really is. You can look more at his, like, he describes all the details and it's like so specifically, it just doesn't make sense. The $2,000 scope, saying that his dad's gonna be mad, all this stuff, telling his roommate that did not talk to the police. He's telling his story like exactly as it happened, as if we were there with him, with every specific detail included in the story. It's almost like he wants to wrap it in a box and send it out so that we won't look into it any further because we apparently have all the answers right here now. So let's see. Yeah, he says he could have went back to grab the rifle, but he didn't have time because he had to switch out of his clothes or something. And yeah, apparently his dad ratted him out. He declined the $100,000 reward for tips or whatever. But yeah, it says in the message that he considered turning himself in, but clearly his dad did that first before he got to. He probably wasn't, but but yeah, that's really all there is in the messages. It's just you don't expect to see this sort of stuff. With politicians, I guess it's different because like I said, these are people who actually set laws into action. You just don't expect to see stuff that happens to Charlie Kirk or whatever. But yeah, then a couple days later he was brought back to Arizona on Air Force Two. Yeah, and his wife was able to see him with an open casket. And then apparently now Trump's trying to get him to go into the Capitol building for his funeral, which there's only been 50 people in American history who received that kind of funeral service. And yeah, so it's just a shame. You continue to look about, like, in the future, I guess, all the stuff Trump would have done, in the future elections and stuff like that, and just stuff involved in politics, and you will kind of want to know what Charlie's voice, would have had to say about that. But the Charlie Kirk show is apparently now being taken over by J.D. Vance. I saw that he was, like, hosting an episode, but apparently now he's taking over the entire thing, and it's going to be filmed at the White House. So that's cool to see that someone's going to be able to, continue his legacy, like his wife said. But yeah, but people are, coming up with conspiracies, of course, about saying that it was an inside job in some sort of way, like it was bigger than just one person, which of course they're always going to say because they said that with Trump too. And I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm not saying that it is, because to be honest, obviously we'll never know. But yeah, they said that it was this whole big deep state thing with the Democrats or whatever. Because honestly, you watch Charlie Kirk's debates, and he's really good. He's good at what he does. He knows what he's talking about, and a very talented debater, I'd say. It's just, and it was nice to see that we did get a decent amount of support from the left side than we expected, you know, from you know, Harry, like that guy on TikTok or whatever. Parker, I don't know his last name, but some guy named Parker who was there at the event, who was actually next. He was right behind the guy who was talking to Charlie Kirk, well, when he got shot. And so you could see the video of him, like, running out of the campus or whatever. And he's friends with Dean Withers, who actually cried on stream when he found out the news about, you know, the tragic event. But it was also sad to see that, you know, not only did Charlie Kirk leave behind, you know, a wife and 2 young kids, but the fact that the wife and 2 young kids were actually at the event. I wasn't informed on where they were, like, you know, in the crowd, which I doubt, but they're probably off to the side somewhere. But the fact that, you know, they had to, in a way, witness their dad's death is kind of, you know, sad. But yeah, and she hosted an episode of the Charlie Kirk show a couple nights ago where she addressed the situation, and yeah. But people were just, you know, making conspiracies or whatever that was deeper than we think it is, because, I mean, really, if you take a look at these text messages, you can go to Fox News or whatever and see them for yourself. It just, the way he's describing it, he's telling the whole story in very specific detail, as if, you know, trying to answer every single question that we had, you know, that he knew that we would most likely ask. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. This is episode 2 of the Founders Forum with Benjamin E. Verikokkos. And stick around for more episodes, because we do have more coming in soon, involving my opinion or my thoughts on the Trump administration for their second term, Israel and Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, stereotypes is coming up too, and a lot more, because, you know, it's just, this is only the very beginning of our show here. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.